Hello, my beautiful people. Today would have been my mother's 80th birthday. She were still alive. So her name was Karen, but I called her Ruthie because I had this really old aunt who lived to be 102 named Ruth, Aunt Ruth, and she's a pain in the ass. Sometimes my mother could be a pain in the ass, so I nicknamed her Ruthie. I used to call her Ruthie all the time, when we were playing. So happy birthday, Ruthie, I miss you. So, in the spirit of Lionsgate and doing, sort of what I was called to do, I, have this in journal, and I've been starting to think about times when I know that I know that my gift was in play. Let me put it that way. Because as an academic, I often discount signs and symbols. As I've mentioned before, I don't really pay attention to them. So, because I will explain them away in my head. So I felt this call from Spirit to sit down, write them down one at a time. And then you can see how often, you've actually, that you've actually paid attention and known that, that your gift was in play. So I did that. I work on a computer and I start really early in the morning, by choice because it's quiet. I start around 5 o'clock, and if I have programming things to do, I do them real early or really late when people are quieter, because it's, real intense work that I can't be interrupted every 5 seconds for. And it's a lot of computer work, so my eyes get tired. So I try to take breaks. When I finish something, I try to take a screen break and go do something else. So I thought, well, I'll go on, I'll write in my journal, and I'll try to remember the first time that I remember having a gift. But I didn't know that it was a gift in the time. It's really only after that I kind of figured out what was going on. And so I thought I'll go do that. So I was thinking of the very first time that I know for sure that I know things are happening or are going to happen was when I was 9 years old. So I think I've told the story before, but just to repeat it for those of you who are new. My grandmother and grandfather lived with us. Grandma, she was English, and she was very sick. She had cancer, and I was 9 years old. I had ridden my bike over to my friend Angie's house, and then I think either we must have rode our bikes to the Rose Garden to go roller skating, and we were roller skating, and all of a sudden I got this sharp pain in my right temple, and I knew I had to go home. And of course, my friend was like, what? What 9-year-old is, I'm like, I have to go home. And for some reason, I had to go back to her house. And I don't remember why that is now, because I had my bike, and I remember pedaling back to her house and, being in a rush, and then I had to go home. But I had to go to her house or something. I believe now that was just Spirit holding me back a little bit so that the timing would work out. So as I pedaled my bike into into the front of my house on Spring Street, the hearse was pulling away. And I didn't know it was a hearse. I just saw this station wagon pulling away, and my mother on the porch, and my mother was tough as nails, and she was crying. My dad was on the porch, and my brothers were both there, and my pop-pop was there, and everybody was crying. And I knew instantly that my grandmother had died, but I didn't have words for that because I'd never known anybody to die before. My father's family was quite a bit older than him, and so any deaths that happened, I wasn't part of because I was a child, and my brother Timmy died before I was born, so I wasn't involved in that. Great sadness. So, at least at that level. So, I knew something happened to Grandma, and I just remember looking back on it now, my mother kept telling me, that is so weird that you knew you had to come, because this is before cell phones. This is before, she didn't know it. It was, I'm Gen X. Nobody's parents knew anybody else's parents' phone numbers. There weren't play dates. We didn't have that kind of thing. So my mom had no way to get a hold of me, but I knew to come home. And I knew that something bad happened. I was very close to my grandmother. And everybody always said I was like her because she was kind of zany and crazy and fun. And, I'm zany, crazy, and fun. And as I got older and I realized, and I looked back on that moment, I realized, that was the very first time that my gift was so blatant. And I believe the gift comes from that line. I believe my mother had psychic abilities, but she was very religious, so she was scared of them. I believe my grandmother did. I believe her mother did, going back in that line. So, interesting. So I'm writing that down, right? So I'm writing that down on the porch and thinking about it. And all of a sudden, this bug, which I don't know my bugology, so it was a stick-looking bug. It looked like a stick, but looked like a firefly or a grasshopper or whatever, but it was brown. It looked like a stick, and it landed right next to a little stick that was by my foot. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know. Like, I've been trying to train myself to pay attention, close attention to things around me, so that little... And it had caught my eye earlier in my garden that's by my pond. So I had seen it before, and I didn't know what it was, but I saw like a thing fly up and fly back down. So I was like, okay, I had seen it before, and now this was a bug, and I hadn't connected that these two things are the same thing. So it was by my foot, and then it kind of like went up the stair, and I didn't want to accidentally kill it, so I looked down to see where it was, and it flew off, and it flew like to the sidewalk, and then it flew back to the space where I first saw the bug that I had seen. So I was like, oh, it's the same bug. And I just got this overwhelming feeling. Go there and look. So I put down my notebook. I walk over and I'm looking, and I don't see anything. I don't even see this bug. Then I see it. Then I see another one. Then I see another one. There were 3 of them. 3 of these stick bugs. I'm sure that's not its, real name. And the sense that I got, the lesson in my head was, the signs are all around you. You don't see them because you don't pay enough attention. You don't pay close attention. But if you look, you will see them. Sometimes they look like other things, like sticks. But they're not sticks. They're vibrant creatures. They're vibrant signs. So I was very grateful to Spirit for that lesson. And I said thank you to the little bugs. And I went back and I sat down just to write it all down in my notebook. And one of them came back right up, like onto the sidewalk, and, was standing there. And I said, hi, Mom, hi, Grandma, hi, Great-Grandma Kate, and then I came in, and it was just like this overwhelming feeling of connectedness to the natural world, and connectedness to Spirit and to my ancestors. So then I thought, well, let's go do a rune pull, shall we? So here we are, rune pull. Ta-da. So we have our green man. There he is. Our Iona stones. We'll do, just going to do 1 stone. Feeling called to just do 1 stone, pull some cards with it. 1 stone for us to meditate on today. Oh, menace. So here's my book, my wee bookie. I'm sorry, not menace. It's hard for me to see the stones, the light. So, and this one looks exactly like, this looks like menace, but this one is Ewaz. And it doesn't have liquid on it. Which means horse. Transportation, movement, progress, trust, and change. Teamwork, alliance, work together for a common goal, trust and cooperation, friendship, loyalty, home devotion, truth, harmonious connection, journey, travel, move from one situation to another, free spirit, spirit of the word, movement, change for yourself, new and exciting adventures and projects, transition and movement. If any of you are traveling or doing something new, but I think this new awareness and awakening and really working with my gift, right? Like before I was like, I don't know if I have a gift. Spirit is like, you know you have a gift. Cut out the nonsense. Every reader I go to, you know you have spiritual gifts. I know, but I don't know what they are. Spirit's like, would you shut up? You do so know what they are. You don't want to admit that's your gift because you think it sounds kooky. And maybe it does sound kooky, but who gives a shit? Like, who cares? Like when I think about, and I'll eventually write about this one, with our friend, my friend who's psychic and I, who are psychic, we contacted our friend because a message had to go through to the mom, and it was an important message. And my role in it was to encourage my friend who's psychic, because she would not have said anything on her own, because, like, we're aware how people see us. Like, we're aware people think we're kooky. But this was an important message that the daughter wanted to get through to her mom. Pretty much saying, listen, long story short, this girl had a very rare cancer that she was very young, and it took her in a year. And, she was fighting really hard, but then she was physically sick, and she really had a hard time fighting, and her mom felt that she was giving up, and that the mom was doing all the fighting as we would do as mothers, right? Like, we're fighting like hell for our kids. And when she passed, she wanted her mother to know that she hadn't given up, that she had been fighting, but her body gave out. Her physical body had given out. And she wanted her mom to know that she didn't give up the fight, that she didn't want to die, she didn't want to leave the physical world, but her physical body was done. And so she wanted her mom to know that, and to thank her for fighting for her, and it was like a message that had to be delivered. And my friend who's the psychic who received the message is the kind of person who's like, I don't know if I should say anything to her, because, like, this is, this sounds batshit crazy, but, that this girl came to both of us. Like, me to be there for my friend who's the psychic, to be there for the mom who needed to hear this message from the girl that had departed. And neither of us had ever met the girl. Like, we knew the mom, and we knew the mom from long ago. Like, it wasn't like we hung out with that person in the present. We knew that person. She was actually one of my husband's ex-girlfriends. I'm friends with all my ex-boyfriends. He's friends with all his ex-girlfriends. We're very chill people. So, so I was thinking, like, it's important that I catalog and I recognize the gift. I have the gift. I have a gift. I have it. Now I need to work with it. So working with it is first recalling it in my memory, like what happens. Like sometimes it's usually a physical sensation that I get. It's like a panic or a headache, or because as I've said, I only ever can predict doom and gloom. I'm hoping to predict happiness sometime. Like, I hope I can tap into that energy. But right now, it's usually when something bad is happening. I have, like, 6 times. Well, no, it's actually not true. I have predicted people who were pregnant who didn't tell me, and were, like, in early stages, and in that stage where you don't want to tell people because you don't want to jinx it. I can just, like, look at them and know. I'm like, you're pregnant. I don't even know you, and I know you're pregnant. So I do have it for good things. So I shouldn't say it's just for bad things. I think the ones that are bad are the things I remember most, because I always know when somebody has had a miscarriage. For whatever reason, I know that. So whatever I think I'm tied to, very female energy, which is no surprise, because I studied women's literature, and I teach women's studies in women's literature. So, interesting. Anyway. Trust, cooperation, positive change, something new and exciting. It's exciting to kind of tap into my gifts and to say it out loud. I have gifts. I want you to say that out loud. I want you to, like, pause this and say, I have gifts. You know you have gifts if you have them. You know you have them. We all have gifts. Like, we all have the ability to do all this stuff. We talk ourselves out of it because we don't want people to think that we're loony. And in the kind of work that I do, both as a professor and as an ethical hacker, like, people are like, she's loony. But then you look at, like, Suzanne Geisman, who is, like, retired Navy top brass, and you're like, this woman is channeling spirits. She's a scientific woman. She was raised an atheist. She's not, like, she came to this work because her stepdaughter died. So, and she didn't know anything about it before. And she's got a very analytical brain. So, I think what happens is that sometimes we see people who are on the woo-woo. Oh, geez. That flew out of my hand, so I'm going to say communication. We see so many people who are frauds. But there are frauds in every business, right? There are fraudulent priests and pastors. There are fraudulent tax collectors. There are fraudulent car salespeople. Like, there are fraudulent people everywhere. So it's not unique to this particular industry. And really, discernment is how we figure it out. You know, what are they asking for? Are they only giving you information if you pay $19.95? It's one of the reasons I don't charge. Because free is fabulous. I would like a set of bagpipes, though, so maybe one day I'll charge. Because I didn't hit the lottery. One person did. I am so grateful for that person, and I hope it transforms them, and I hope they donate a lot to charity. All right, past one. A whole bunch came out. A whole stack. Am I supposed to take all these, Spirit? I feel like that was an accident. Like that was... If they're meant to come out, they'll come out again. I'm going to start over. Past one. So I wasn't paying attention. Thanks. Past one. Past two. Thank you, Spirit. Oh, there we go. Past three. I'm flipped up in here. Since I'm completely out. Boundaries. So again, you know, like, I think when we talk about our spiritual gifts, there are people who are not going to understand. There are people who are not going to value. There are people who are going to call bullshit on us. That's fine. That's their prerogative. That's fine. Have boundaries. And put a boundary around your heart for that kind of reaction. And walk away from energy that doesn't serve you. Inspiration. I'm very inspired right now, which if you've been watching the channel, I've been in this, like, desert sand, just kind of like, okay, well, now what? But it's like, really work with the gift. Stop asking if you have one. You have one. You know that. You've known that since you're 9. Probably before that. But, and help other people. Help other people develop their gifts. And then shadow treasures. And this card in this deck, when you read the book, you know, we all do shadow work. Here are the things that I'm not good at and I need to get better at. That's one way to look at a card like this. But this particular card is about using your shadows for good, right? So it's very specific to, like, look at your shadows and, like, what are some hidden things that you have that you are kind of good at. And definitely my gifts have been a shadow. I've kept them in the shadow for a long time. And now I think I'm ready for that next step of just, you know, and helping other people who are like me, who are very analytical, who are academic, who have careers where, you know, woo-woo stuff is not necessarily appreciated or understood. Like, I think there is a balance there. You know, it's funny because I go to a lot of events and I don't look the part at all. I mean, I wear hippie clothing, that I do, and always have. But I don't have any tattoos. Not opposed to tattoos. I think the artwork is beautiful, but I do not have the attention span to sit still that long. And I don't want to spend my money on tattoos. I want to spend it on charity. So I don't have tattoos. I don't have a million piercings. I just have my ears pierced. Again, no judgment, but I don't feel a need to put metal throughout my body. I used to dye my hair when I was young. When I was a teenager, I had purple hair. But I don't feel the need. Everybody's trying to get me to get the sparkle hair or the fairy hair or whatever. I'm like, look at my hair. First of all, I don't comb it every day. And, because if I wash it every day, I need the oils in my hair to keep it down instead of frizzy. I'm just not a superficial, not that people who do that are superficial, but for me, that kind of behavior for me would be superficial. And I'm not at all worried about stuff like that. You know, like, I'm happy if I'm wearing, like, matching socks, because I never am wearing matching socks. I'm usually not even wearing shoes. I just don't pay attention to stuff like that. I always said, like, if my kids, when they were little, would ever get lost, I would have no idea what they were wearing, because I wouldn't remember, which is why I took a lot of pictures of them, so I would remember what they were wearing. You know, it's like whatever you're into, and there's no judgment for people who are into things like that. I just happen not to be. I don't feel like there's a code of dress that you need to be a druid or, you know, or one of the outer faiths. Like, you know, I know that there are trends within each of the communities, and, you know, like, if you go to a pagan festival, you can kind of tell all the witches, right? They all look alike. And then you've got the people like me who are like, you're like, whoa, well, what is she? I don't know. I'll talk to her and ask her. She'll tell you. She doesn't know. She does know. She is a independent Christian druid in the Scottish tradition. That's what I am. Anyway, I have blabbered at you long enough, so I'm going to let you go. Have a great day. Wishing you all the very... Oh, wait. I didn't pull other cards. I'm not letting you go yet. Where are my Celtic Spirit cards? I've not been called to pull the druid cards. Tarot. And I think, again, it's just because tarot is not my tradition, and I struggle so much with it. Understanding it and stuff. I like these oracle cards. Oh, that was not even a shuffle. Alright, 3 passes, Spirit. Anything else? I feel like I keep you too long, and then, like, I don't want to hold your time hostage. I get so excited and I get so chatty. Sorry, pass. Okay, we have the Morrigan, which in this oracle card, in this oracle deck, sometimes means death. Power, courage, and strength. And it's strength to really like look clearly at what my gift is and how to use it in the world, right? I need power and courage to do that because people are going to be naysayers. She of the Woods is peace, connection, and home. I love that. You know, and it's really a reminder that, you know, these are the kinds of things that you work on in your own practice, right? You don't have to be out and about. You don't have to read cards for other people. You don't have to read rune stones. And I didn't forget, Hestia, I need to read your runes.
Unknown caller.
That's my daily call for car insurance. How exciting. So, I haven't forgotten, Hestia, that I need to do your runes. I will try to do those tonight. But, you don't have to perform. You're not a circus pony, right? You're not a monkey. You don't have to perform for others. Your spirituality is for you. It is for nobody else unless you want to share it. So don't ever feel that you have to share your gifts with other people before you're ready. I have not mastered how to use my gifts on control, right? The gifts come, like, I get the senses, but I can't look at a person and be like, let me look into your eyes and see if you're going to have something bad happen to you. It's more of a feeling when I'm walking by somebody or if I'm in a conversation. It could be I'm in a conversation and a conversation is happening over here and I hear something and I'm like, oh, that person's mother just died. And that's how I know. And then I don't ask, I never say anything, and then, 20 minutes later, somebody will be like, oh, did you know that Susie's mom just died? I'm like, really? It's pretty groovy when it happens, but I would like for more happy things to come up. Like, if somebody's going to win the lottery, specifically me, or if bagpipes are just going to show up in the mail, I would like to be able to predict that. I'm wishing you all the very best in light and love. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.